My elevation sheets are now shooting off the page.
They are?
Yeah.
Let me look real quick.
Is it because you have the elevation lines that are all screwed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, because mine.
Oh, the garage.
Your elevation? Oh, yeah.
See, come on.
So you need to change the scale. To change the scale, make it smaller.
No, I just need to drag the lines in.
Well, you could do that too, but then I guess your garage won't be on there.
Oh, that's why
It's not supposed to be on there anyway.
Okay, then you just drag the line.
Make sure you have that.
That's one of the downfalls of Revit, I guess.
You're right. I should just change things.
It's up to you.
That's my dang garage.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about ceilings, and we'll talk about stairs. And next week or next class, Wednesday, we'll do storefront curtain wall, right? Okay. Well, let's talk about ceilings. Ceilings, I think we can move pretty quickly through ceilings because they function just like floors, essentially, right? Except that they are attached to the ceiling, right? The ceiling, essentially, yeah. So when you look at a ceiling, you look up instead of looking down.
Optimus Prime is in my elevation view. I love it.
Optimus Prime?
That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so if you haven't noticed, whenever you generate a floor plan view over here, right, you get a ceiling plan that is also generated, okay? So I have a basement, I have a basement, I have a bottom of footing, I have a bottom of footing, right? Those are just, they're generated together, essentially, in pairs. Now, a ceiling plan, right, when I go to a floor plan, and I'm hoping my view range is by default here, but when I look at my view range, right, I am looking at my, my basement view, and I'm looking at a 4-foot cut line looking down, okay? So my basement, the view of my floor plan is as if you were standing downstairs, you cut horizontally the floor plate at 4 feet and got rid of the top. Now a ceiling view, an RCP, right? You'll hear the term RCP, reflected ceiling plan, okay? If I go to my basement here, and I look at my view range instead, right? The cut plane is going to be at 7'6", right? And we're looking up, essentially. So with a floor plan, you're cutting low and looking down, and with a ceiling plan, you're cutting high and looking up, okay? All right. Now, before I show you how to create a ceiling, which is really no different than creating a floor, and I mean the same sketch process as a roof, somewhat different. I want to kind of talk about the reasoning behind having a ceiling, okay? Because most of the time when you think about a ceiling, and I think this is a pretty good line of reasoning, right? Like if you have a truss that somewhat looks like this, right? And then we've got the floor, and the floor somewhat does that, and the wall comes down, and then we have our footings down here, right, and our slab. We have a floor plate here, we have our truss up here, and a ceiling, you know, kind of in the real world, we'll just make it real simple, would be drywall somewhat screwed to the bottom of the basement joists, right? So really, when you think about it, it's just kind of like the underside of the floor, okay? So that's one way of thinking about a ceiling. You know, you could take your floor assembly and you could add the floor joist, you could add all of the layers of the floor on top, and then if you wanted, you could add gypsum board maybe to the bottom of your floor joist, and that would be, you know, a ceiling, right? You could probably think about, you know, this the same way, where you have a ceiling in here tacked to the bottom of your trusses, right? And so that could be gypsum board on the underside of your it's not a, you know, a floor plate, but it's a truss, it's a structure. Okay, so the problem with that is that if you were to define your floor plate like that, you wouldn't technically have a ceiling, right? You would have a floor plate that is illustrating gypsum board. And the problem with that is that elements that host to a quote ceiling, a defined ceiling, won't host to the underside of a floor. Right, no lights, that's exactly it, right? So you really do want to create a ceiling, okay? Even though it's tempting, and actually I feel like it's very much cleaner to create, hey, let's just tack on our, you know, our ceiling material to the bottom of our structure. It's great, right? You won't be able to host items onto that essentially, okay? All right, so I'm in my RCP here, reflected ceiling plan. Things that I'm going to see in my RCP, let me go to my main level. Okay. I'm going to see all of the architectural walls that go up to above the 7'6" line, right? So essentially I'm cutting these at 7'6" and I'm looking up. So anything that is at the 7'6" line and above, you will see, okay? So that includes doors and windows and walls, essentially. Any equipment, different things like that, okay? In an RCP, normally you're likely not going to see the doors. So visually, I will turn my doors off, okay? So this door, for example, is showing. I'm not likely ever going to see that door, so I'll probably turn it off. Let me just go to my main level here. Okay, I do have all my, I just forgot where my doors and windows were. Okay. Now, I have a lot of other doors in here that I'm not seeing, okay? And it's because my cut line is at 7'6", and most residential doors are not that tall, right? So in this case, where I have a residential building, I'm gonna change my view range here. I'm gonna make this be like 6'8". In fact, I'm gonna make, yeah, that's pretty good, right? And I do that because I somewhat want to know where the doors are, even though visually, like, I'm just going to look at the header. I'm going to turn the actual door off, and I'm just going to see where the opening kind of exists in this space, okay? All right, so ceiling, I'm cutting at 7'6". In my case, I changed it to 6'8". I can see the doors, I can see the walls, I can see the windows. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, VG, Visual Graphics, and I'm going to turn the doors off. So I'm going to click doors. Right, this is VG, Visual Graphics. It's almost like a layer dialog box, right? So I'm going to uncheck doors, hit OK, and they turn off. Normally, you kind of see a header there, so we've got something happening. Okay. If you don't like to see your windows, you can turn your windows off. I think people kind of go back and forth on that. V, as in visual, yep. Some people like to keep their windows on, some people don't. It's kind of an office standard type thing. But here's our general architectural template, okay? If I come up here to architecture and I come over to ceiling, click, right? I have the ability to create an automatic ceiling where I hover in a space, okay? And if I click, a ceiling is created. Click, it's like magic. It seems like magic, right?
It does kind of seem like magic. Where is it putting that ceiling?
Right, right. Where is that? That's the question, right? Where is it putting that ceiling? This is funny because Kevin and I sort of differ on a couple things in Revit. One is the stairs, and two are in things like this. I'm like, no, I don't like the automatic. I just don't like the automatic because I don't have a lot of control, you know. So I tend to go, and he's telling me, you're going the long route. You're going the long route. Why? You don't need to do that much work. And I'm like, I have more control over it. Anyway. It's kind of funny banter, but right? That's what we talk about in the architecture department. No.
The zaniness in the architecture
I know, we're like
department.
crazy kids, right?
Red vines to be had by all.
OMG. We'll say that. I know, how did you come up with that one? What does that even mean?
Do other people not eat red vines when we're having a good time?
Well,
Come on.
I mean... Is that in college you'd put a red vine in your drink so that you can drink your alcohol through the red vine tube? Is that what you mean? You college students, you. It's funny. But I kind of like, I don't like the automatic ceiling because I mean, I understand why people like it because it is easy, right? And it just kind of like outlines the rooms and it's great, right? But it has some default settings associated with it, right? So if I were to grab this ceiling, let me see if I can grab it. Hold on. There it is, okay. It has placed it at 8 foot.
Oh, that's terrible.
Right? Well, that might be good, it might be bad, right? And the other thing is that if I hit edit boundary, it still is a sketched object, right? It does bring it to the outside of the finish, right? And that's maybe okay, maybe not. I like to be able to define my boundary, I guess is maybe why I don't like it as much, you know? And the other thing is that if I have a room, you know, a lot of times I even like to maybe bring I don't like to do rooms all this like separate. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'll tell you the reasons why. But sometimes I like to combine my regions, and I can't really do that with the automatic one.
So like bedroom ceilings, main living ceilings, like that?
Yeah. Do them individually or combine them. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. But it's not like a total horrible thing to do that, right? Of course, just preference, essentially. But I'm going to hit finish. So we have the automatic ceiling, and the ceiling that was kind of installed here when I created it that direction, right? It was the ACT, so acoustical ceiling tile. And that was just kind of chosen, right? I click on ceiling. That was just chosen by whatever ceiling type was current in the dialog box here, okay? If I drop down, I could choose like the gypsum board on metal stud, and I could go around and click, click, click. And it did place the ceiling, although it, I assume it placed it. I'm assuming that it's below, or it doesn't have a hatch associated with it. So let me just draw a quick section. Yeah, there it is right there. So there's my acoustic ceiling tile, right? There is my gypsum board ceiling, but it doesn't have a pattern associated with the materiality on it. And so I'm not seeing a representation of it on my ceiling plan. Okay, so we have the automatic sketch, right? But then we also have, if I go to ceiling, we have the sketch ceiling, right? So I click on sketch ceiling and I brought into normal sketch mode, right? So I can choose wherever I want that ceiling to occur. I can choose where I want it lined up in the wall, right? All those good things, okay? So I would use all my typical drawing methods to click on boundary, and then I would come in here, and wherever I wanted it to start or stop, right? I can come in here and I could draw those boundaries, okay? Now, again, ceilings are a lot like floors. So I'm just going to draw one squarish ceiling here that doesn't trim, TR, click, click, AL, align, click, click. Okay. I'm going to hit finish. There we go. There's my ceiling, right? Ceilings are just like floors in that if I want to leave a region out, I can, right? So, and the reason kind of why we're going over ceilings before stairs is so that when you, let me just go to my main level again here. This is my main level floor plan, right? You're going to have your stairs that need to come up through this opening. But in the basement, you're going to need to have a ceiling, right? And so the ceiling, you don't want to obscure this opening, right? Because it's a separate entity from the floor. So we're going to have to draw the same openings in the floor with our ceiling that we have with our floor structure, essentially. Okay. So I'm going to go to my main level ceiling again. Let me just tell you, number one, like biggest problem, have you guys like gotten mixed up and accidentally clicked on like main level here instead of the other one, and you're working along, you're like, wait, where is everything? What's happening? Undo, 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 delete, delete, delete. Oh, wait a minute, I'm in the ceiling plan. Go back, right? Anyway. Yeah, it does, right? So I can click on my ceiling, click, click, and I can leave areas out, right? So I can essentially, like if I were in the basement, I could draw the same opening in the, basement, SL split, TR trim. I could draw the same opening in the basement ceiling, going to the main level that is showing, the opening is showing in the floor, I guess, right? I don't think I said that very well, but I think you guys know what I mean, right? Okay, so I'm going to shade this view. I can leave openings in it, right? I can click on it. I can also leave openings or leave pieces out, right? So this system works on a closed region, similar to, they're just like floors essentially, right? So all the same rules that apply to floors apply to ceilings. Okay, so I hit finish, and there is the opening in my ceiling there. If I go into 3D mode, and I'm going to use my section region, okay, we're just going to cut a little area back there. Look at that cutie little ceiling in there. Very nice, right? Looks wonderful. Okay. All right. Another thing about ceilings, right? So you'll have to have a ceiling essentially unless you're having an open ceiling where there's no ceiling at all, right? You're going to have a ceiling on every single floor plan that corresponds to a finished space. So if you have a basement level that's finished, you're going to have a basement level reflected ceiling plan. If you have a main level, same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll have to have them on every level, okay? And they will have to be separate from the floor structure, okay? All right, so ceilings, how do we assign an assembly to our ceilings, right? And the answer is just like any other element in Revit, right? So we have floors, we have ceilings, we have roofs, we have walls, and they all have assemblies associated with them, and we define those assemblies all the same way, right? So when I want to create a ceiling type, okay, I'm going to click on the object, I'm going to drop down and find the ceiling that is most similar to the one that I already have, okay? So gypsum board on metal stud, I'm going to hit edit, I'm going to duplicate it, we'll rename it, so we'll call it gypsum on wood stud, rename it, and then we're going to redefine it. Okay, so I click on edit, and instead of having, you know, a metal stud layer for the structure, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to look for the softwood lumber and do a 2x4 stud wall. So change the structure from softwood lumber to, we'll do 2x6, 1/2-inch gypsum, hit OK, OK, and now I have a new type of ceiling, right? So same procedure as like a wall or a roof. And I'm going to hurry and edit this type real quick. I want to add a hatch to the gypsum wallboard. So I've got gypsum wallboard, the surface pattern. I'm going to click on gypsum plaster. Okay. Okay. Oop. Maybe. There we go. Hit OK. Okay. It's about 8 OKs. And now my ceilings have a hatch pattern associated with them that you can see, right? So hidden line, there they are. Okay. Now items that will host, right? Things that go on the ceiling. So equipment like projectors and smoke detectors and lights, you know, those are probably the main things that go on a reflected ceiling plan, right? You can show attic access, that type of thing in a reflected ceiling or a ceiling plan. But essentially, right, if I wanted to add a family to my ceiling, I could go to Insert. I'm going to load some families here, and my families are going to be electrical. Maybe if I have, not that.
You want to flip a breaker? You want to get that ceiling.
I don't know if we have any. Oh, I bet it's under lighting. Yep, there it is. Okay. Architectural, internal. Right, so let's pick like a down light, spotlight, open. Okay. I'm going to go to component, place a component, and there's my, ooh, that's an interesting downlight. But I can click, 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 and now those objects host to my ceiling, right? Whereas if I, you know, let's go to my basement level RCP, where now I just have a floor here, right? If I wanted to add those components, it's a downlight, you see, it won't host to that element, right? See, I wasn't lying.
So what happens if you have a vaulted ceiling? I mean, where do you put that ceiling at? Underneath
You have to slope it. Yep. Yep. Okay, so now if I go into my 3D mode, right, I can go in there, see our cute little lights hanging out in there. Look how wonderful that is, right? And a lot of these, they render really well, right? So there's lighting information built into your lights, and so you can use them to render in Revit. All right. Oh, let me show you one other thing about lights that is actually usually pretty helpful. Annotate. I'm going to go to a dimension. I can use dimensions to align my lights to different things, just like you use dimensions to create geometry, right? So, for example, I go like this. I click on here, equal, and it can spread those objects about the space. Okay. Click, delete. Oop. So ceiling's not too bad, right? I think it was important to show you this though, because we're going to have stairs that are going to be going through this opening right here. And when you create your basement ceilings, they're going to have to, you know, outline the same opening as your floors has been created in your floor. Okay. All right. Any questions on ceilings? We're not going to do a vaulted ceiling just yet. Yeah, we're going to keep it pretty simple. Well, actually, it's not too bad. Let me show you what a vaulted ceiling would look like in this case, because we do have one. Yeah, sorry, I just thought of that when you said that. Let me go to our main level again. Here we go. So if I drag this ceiling marker or this section marker down, okay, we do have a vaulted ceiling in our space. And what that means is that our ceiling has to essentially become the same angle as this, right? And there's just a couple of little quirky nuances too. Oh, I don't like that number. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll deal with it for now. I'm gonna go to, let's look at that. Okay, 8 foot 9.5, we'll say, or sorry, 9 foot 9.5. Okay. So there are some settings within our reflected or our ceilings that will allow us to slope the ceiling, right? So instead of just being a flat ceiling like this, we want it to tilt up and kind of rest to the best of our abilities in the same plane with our ceiling up here, right? So that, you know, it may not be perfect. And this is one of those things that I usually, when I'm working on drawings, I get it as best as I can. I get it in there, you know, as accurate as possible. But there are always going to be times where it's just not, it's so close, but it's just not quite, right? And the kind of maybe bad thing about ceilings, I wish they would change, although I guess I understand why, is that I can't take a ceiling and align it to like a roof, right? Because you're looking at it, you're like, I'll just align it. It'll, you know, lay right in plane with the roof. It'll be great. But we can't do that, okay? All right, so I'm going to go back to my reflected ceiling plan on the main level here, and I'm going to slope this ceiling here. And in actuality, I'm going to mark where this goes. I'm creating a reference plane there. Reference planes, once I create them, right, it marked where the ceiling is going to, it's going to start on that outer wall, and it's going to slope up to this point, and that point in floor plan view corresponds with that reference plane, okay? Now reference plane, I drew it in a sectional view, but the nice thing about those is that they also show up in floor plan view. Okay, so now I have a good reference as to where that ceiling is going to fall. So it looks like we got it pretty perfect there. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to hit edit boundary, and I'm going to get rid of a few things here. We'll make it more simple. Trim, click, click. And what I'm going to do is I am going to, up here, we have a slope arrow. Okay, so I'm in the sketch and I can click on slope arrow, and I'm going to start over here at this edge, and it doesn't really matter where you start it. Like I could start it here or here, okay? But I'm going to click on one end, click on the second end. You notice it's going to start there and it's going to slope up this direction, right? They made the arrow nice and large so that we could tell what was happening, okay? And if I click on it, over here in the properties dialog box, I have a level at the tail, and I have a height offset from the tail, and I have a level at the head. This is the tail, this is the head. That's why I was measuring the heights of those walls, right, where that ceiling was going to start and stop. So let's see, so specify the tail height. Well, I want it to be at top of wall, although I'm questioning if top of wall is actually the same height as that. I should have measured. We'll just leave it at that for now, 0. And I want and I don't know what this height is. Or what was it? Do you guys remember? What was it?
13, 8 and 3/4.
There you go. 13, 8.75. Oh. Okay. So it's going to go from top of wall up to, I hope this works, 13, 8 3/4. Okay. I'm going to hit finish. And now it looks different. I'm going to click, click. It's a little bit steep. It's a little bit steep. All right, so instead of doing that, we're just going to go the sort of manual route. I should have just listened to myself. Okay. So I assigned it to a level, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it unconnected. Default. No. Oh, shoot. It's not going to let me do it. Yeah, it is. Okay. Height offset at the tail. 8 foot 8.5, right? Up to 13 foot and 3/4. So instead of assigning it to a level, like going from top of wall up to top of high wall, I'm saying I want it to start at 8 foot 8.5 and go up to 13 8 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to hit finish. I'm going to click, click, look at my section. It's better, still not in the right plane. I'm hoping at this point I can just, nope, I can't even align it. I'm going to move it down, MV. Okay. Yeah. This is why I didn't really want to get into this today. It's somewhat, let me just say this. When I do these, I generally get it in the right place, but then I have to incrementally like make it, oh, 9 foot. Did I put an 8 foot?
Yeah, so that's what it is.
Okay, I was like, I'm gonna have to,
9,
Mirza, why didn't you tell me?
well, you were just too quick.
You were just clicking away like a crazy person.
You said that.
That's what my husband would say. Okay. Right? There we go. 9 inches. There we go. 9. Oh, it just happened. It happens. Okay. Okay, much better, right? And it even still though, right? I'm gonna move it up just a tiny bit. I guess this one actually went in pretty perfect. Well, pretty close, right? This kind of stuff annoys me like no other. It's slightly askew, but it's very, very difficult to get it to an increment where it's just spot on, right? And I've tried. I will sit there and calculate to like the 16th of an inch, trying to like get it perfect, even though you won't be able to tell, right? Revit sucks, right? All those people were right.
And that would just be gypsum board on top of that as well, just like the basement.
What's that?
That would be just gypsum board on it, because you have
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
So you went, yeah. So
No.
most of your ceilings are just going to be like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yep. But I mean, in my defense, right, I think our units are not, I guess they're set to a 30-second.
One question, so when you were entering all those numbers for the ceiling when you were in the sketch mode,
Right,
so you were putting these numbers that were here that you measured.
right.
Your ceiling went above everything.
Right. It was probably set like at top of wall or something, and so it actually formed like 9 foot 9 above that top of wall. Yeah. Yeah.
So above main level.
Right, exactly. So I just moved it down. Yeah. But ceilings will have an associated level, right? So when I was drawing it, I was in top of wall, so it was assuming that top of wall was what I wanted, right? But I do have an associated level, so oh, maybe. Oh no, that's 6 inches. I was gonna say, oh, there's the increment, 55 over 256. Should we? I'm gonna restrain myself from inputting that into my ceiling. Although funny enough, I had to have some glass fabricated, and they did it wrong the first time, right, at my house. And the guy told me, he was like, well, I don't know, AutoCAD can't draw increments that small. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure it can. I know, it was just, well, they drew it wrong. Like, you might not be able to fabricate it, but you can't, yeah, I'm like, I've been,
Nice try.
I would just, well, who would think that, I mean, you know, anyway, it's kind of funny. But I mean, you can get it to pretty small increments, but it is, like I said, it's kind of tough to get it perfectly lined up in there. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do slope ceilings like that. And like I said, it's not always easy, right? It takes me a couple of tries to get it right, but and even then it's not perfect. So it is what it is. Okay. All right. Any questions on any of that? Not yet. He's smiling like.
I was just smiling. I said it felt like watching the Lego movie, and you're like Lego Batman. You're like, remember he throws the batarang like 7 times, and he finally hits it and goes, first time!
No, I admitted it never happens on the first time.
No,
No.
once it went up, you were like, see, perfect. Boom. First time.
There you go. There you go.
So in the assignment for tomorrow, you said add a drop soffit to your ceiling.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. Yes, that was my next topic.
Remember how that was uncool?
What's that?
Do you remember how that was uncool?
Adding a drop soffit? Who doesn't like a drop soffit? Okay. All right. So there are going to be times in your ceilings where you have areas that need to be lower than others, right? Yes. Well, not in here. Well, although this ceiling is lower than the deck, right? But there are going to be times when it has to drop to accommodate structure or ventilation or its design intent, right? You want to have a lower space, essentially. And so we'll have to create what's called a soffit, okay? So the soffit is going to consist of the ceiling being dropped, but also we have to sort of fill in the area where the ceiling drops, okay? So let me show you what that looks like. If I go into architecture and I go into ceiling and I choose my sketch ceiling, right? And I draw, let's draw this, we'll just draw this area, whole area right there. And we'll have it at 8 foot, that looks good. I'm gonna hit finish, okay? And then, well, and actually, let's do this. We'll pull this in. There we go. So I've drawn one ceiling here, but maybe this area needs to be dropped down just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go to ceiling again, and I'm going to draw another ceiling right next to the one I drew previously. So okay, I'm just going to trace this. There we go. Looks pretty good, right? And again, that's at 8 foot. So I hit finish and everything looks good so far, right? I'm gonna show you something else in a second that will blow your mind. Okay, I'm gonna take this ceiling and instead of being at 8 foot, I'm gonna drop it down to 7 foot. So I'm gonna type 7, enter. Okay, and this little ceiling, although visually not a whole lot happened, this ceiling right here is at 7 foot and this ceiling is at 8 foot. Okay, little side note, if you go to annotate and we have a spot elevation right there, oh my gosh, look how smart Revit is, right? If anybody's ever had to chase the ceiling heights through a reflected ceiling plan, they know how magical this is, right? Making sure they're all where they should be. Okay, and now I want to look at this ceiling. I want to see that this is actually a foot lower than this one, okay? I could go into my 3D and look at my section region, right? But I can also, and this is just, we haven't really learned about it, but I'm going to show it to you. I can also place a camera in my little house here and take a look. So if I click on my down arrow here and choose camera, I know, right? Look at that, look how cute it is. Everything's cute at my house.
Even the pit of doom in the kitchen.
Oh, I forgot about the pit of doom. Oh, and my walls.
The pit of misery.
Okay. But you know, very easily, this is stuff that when I was in school, it was like, it just never worked. You know, this is amazing.
Where does this camera view go?
Where do I?
Oh, just under your 3D views?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, you know,
The hell?
That's funny. I was just gonna say, so that reminded me of Jake. Jake's been missing for 3 weeks. So if Jake is listening to our recording, remember he said about his neighbor peeking in his window? but we can see that, right? So I use the camera a lot, not necessarily even to like show a client, but as I'm working through drawings, it gives me nice insight into the project, right? And it's quick and it is real time, which is really great, right? So I've got my little drop soffit there. I'm gonna go.
Do with like the whole rendering class, like that's you place a couple cameras and then make that look pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
Just those two scenes.
Like the views, different views.
So
Yep.
I've had a camera on forever now.
What's the, when you look at the ceiling up top of the room bounding under the properties? What is that? Is it just like kind of attaching to the wall?
Wait, what? Say that again. When I'm on the ceiling. Oh, when I click on this.
Yeah, it's room bounding.
So it will, so there are elements in Revit that bound rooms, right? So things like walls and ceilings, they capture the volume of the room. So it makes sense. Okay. Yep. Okay. So I have my drop soffit there, right? Here's a little 3D view of it. And you'll notice that I have this ceiling, and then it's kind of floating in space, right? So essentially what I need to do is I need to build a little wall in there to enclose that, okay? So I'm going to come in here into my reflected ceiling plan, and I'm going to go to architecture, wall, and I want my location line to be on the finished face exterior, and I want my base constraint to be the main level, right? So we're doing a little workaround to get a short wall at the ceiling. And I feel like the best way to do that is to go to, have the base constraint be main level. I want the top constraint to be, what is ours called? Top of wall, is that right? Top of wall. No. Hold on. It might be interfering because I'm on the ceiling plan. Okay. So I'm going to do a wall, and again I'm going to try and get it in somewhat the right spot. In this case would likely have to, I'm going to change my overlay to top of wall. That didn't really help me very much, did it? Let's see, top of wall is above it, I think. Well, anyway, we'll just move it into place once we get into our reflected ceiling plan. But I'm going to click on wall, okay, and I'm going to have the base constraint be the main level, the top constraint be top of wall, and I want a base offset of 7 feet. What is going on? Nothing is working tonight. It's one of those nights. What's that? I know, right? Uh-oh, Paul's creating views like it's nobody's business over there. Main level, up to top of wall. There we go. Oh, top constraint isn't valid. Isn't it top of wall? Maybe I've changed the name of it without recognizing that I've changed it. Top of wall, right? Main level, the top of wall, yeah. Base constraint, main level, up to top of wall. All right, I'm confused. Ah, no. Did I have 2 top of walls? No. All right, so for whatever reason, so I can draw a wall there. Oh. All right, nobody noticed. I have a foundation wall selected. Okay, remember foundation walls don't sort of function the same way that regular walls do.
How that was going to go. I saw the 12-inch concrete and I went, oh, this will be different. She must know what she's doing, though.
I totally was not paying attention over there and did not notice it was a foundation wall. So it wasn't, the base and the top constraint weren't working the way they should because I was working with foundation wall. So I'm going to go back to wall. Hopefully we can make this right now. Go to a generic 5-inch. Good. I want my base constraint to be main level, my top to be top of wall, but I want a base offset of 7 foot. And it works. There we go. Oh, location line, finished face, exterior. There we go. Very nicely draw. See how it, look over here. Look, look, look. Isn't that magical? Okay. So that's how you're going to create a drop soffit, right? So you can choose to have these walls sort of like stop maybe there, right? It's not critical. I mean, we're seeing a line right there, but not super critical, right? The intent is that you have the ceiling here, it's dropped down, and then you have this wall that is kind of obscuring, you know, where that condition happens, okay? Now, there's always sort of a discussion on this, right? When you're working professionally, if there's not a detail being shown of that area, do we actually need to go in and create all those drop soffit walls, right? And the answer is likely no. When in a commercial building you have 10 stories and, you know, 400 conditions of soffits, it maybe the labor involved in drawing those and then making sure they remain consistent, right? Coordinating them may not be, I mean, you may not have to do it, right? Only in certain areas where you're going to draw detail, or in a view like this where you would actually see it. So in a professional drawing, you might see a bunch of drop soffits, like the ceiling is dropped, right? But you don't necessarily see the wall that goes around it, right? Just because it doesn't make sense to do it everywhere, okay? All right. Not bad, right? Not bad. Okay, so that's our drop soffit. Any questions so far?
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Should we look a little bit more at our house? Should we kind of, here's our little camera. The walkthrough in Revit I don't feel like is great. I wish it were a little bit better. It's weird. It's like it has this like path that you have to create, and it's I don't use it very often because I don't feel like it's that functional, but it's like you have these little cameras that you have to point towards wherever you're looking. It's just not very functional. I mean, we'll talk about it at the end of the semester if you want, but it's not great in my opinion.
How are you adjusting your camera view? Because you were kind of moving that around.
I'm holding shift and moving holding my roller down and moving.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, so I can grab the little middle roller, zoom around a little bit. But I have to say, I was talking with someone else about this the other day. This is so quick, you know, and you're already usually generating a Revit model, right, for a client. And so to be able to pull these views is not really a whole lot of extra work, right? And it communicates so much to the client, right? They a lot of times don't get it. And this just makes it so much easier to convey your message, right? And the best part, how many of you use SketchUp? Does anybody use, well, Paul does now. Paul, WT, right? Does anybody else use SketchUp? A little bit. Revit translates into SketchUp perfectly, right? So if you want to, you know, use your Revit model and then bring it into SketchUp, it brings in groups and components, and it's perfect. The geometry is perfect. So anyway, good trick for when you're in school.
Except for at the U, they don't let you use Revit.
No, that's not true. Mimi said that's not true. That's not true. Yeah, that's not true. She said she doesn't want you designing in Revit. Yeah, they want you producing in anything you can produce in. They just don't want you designing a lot in technology. It's not true. It's not true. You can ask any of the students up there. They use Revit. They use Grasshopper. They use AutoCAD. They use whatever possible. Okay, so let's talk about stairs then, okay? I'm just going to give you an intro to stairs, and I think what I'll do is introduce the idea. We'll take about a half hour and introduce the idea, and I'll let you kind of try it out, and then next time I'll go over it one more time briefly, and then we'll get into storefronts, essentially, okay? Okay, I'm going to go to my main level here. Looks wonderful. Okay, now I'm also going to go to my basement and look real quick here. Okay, looks good. All right, so let's talk about stairs. Under the architecture tab, I have a stair tool over here, okay? And there's a couple of different ways that we can generate stairs. When I click on stair, right, I have immediately some options available to me, right? So I have the ability to create a run of stairs, a landing, a support, right? I have the ability to create sort of predefined shapes of stairs, right? So I have a straight stair, I have a round, a center spiral, a winder, L-shaped winder, and then a U-shaped winder. And then I have the ability to create a sketch, okay? Stairs are another one of those things where I've sort of learned over the years using Revit that it's like constraints almost, right? Like the easiest way possible is, for me, not the best way. I feel like it's easier to draw, but I have less control over it overall, and that's the component direction. And the component direction is using one of these preset shapes to draw your stairs, essentially, okay? So when I use one of these preset stairs, let me just show you and then we'll talk about it more. I click, I define where I want the stair to go, so maybe from main level up to top of wall. I click, move in the direction I want to go. It says, hey, you need 4 risers and you need 12 risers, and as you move forward, click, 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 there they are, right? It counts them down, and I have all the risers I need to go from the main level up to top of wall. Great. I hit finish, hopefully, and there are my stairs, right? So if I go into a 3D mode, where are they? Do I have this cropped? Let's see. There we go. There are my neighbor's yard here. Right, there are my stairs. And that was really easy, right? Those of you that use AutoCAD, stairs are a pain in the neck, right? Stair sections are a pain in the neck. And so when I first started using Revit, I was thinking, this is amazing. They're great. The stair tool is really great, right? If for none other than to just calculate where your stairs go, right? Because when you're using AutoCAD, you have to calculate, you know, the height of all of your risers, even to the increment, all that good stuff. With Revit, it's inherent, okay? You say, hey.
Everybody should know how to do that.
Well, they should know how to do it.
Revit, nobody's gonna know.
You sound like Jeff. That's it. That's it. I'm gonna have to talk with Jeff about you. Tell him here. Well, let me just show you something here. Calculation rules. You want to learn how to calculate stairs? There you go. It's laid out in a formula, right? Okay, anyway. So here are our stairs. We define the parameters. We say things like, so essentially like walls and doors and floors, right? We have a stair type, just like we have a floor type or a wall type. And within the stair type, we have an assembly of sorts. But instead of it being like you have gypsum board on both sides, you have a wood stud in the middle, right? You're going to define the parameters for the stairs. So you're going to say things like, these stairs are going to have a wood riser and a wood tread, and they can be no taller than 7 3/4 of an inch, and they're going to be 5 feet wide, right? You're going to define all those parameters within your stair type, right? Just like you would define the assembly of your wall within your wall type, okay? And so you're going to say you're going to define all these parameters, and then you're going to say, well, when I create these stairs, I want to go from this level to this level, and then Revit will automatically generate, you know, whatever, you know, however many risers you need, the depth of the tread, all that good stuff, okay? When I do what's called a stair by component, which is essentially, when I start the stair command, I would say any of these predefined shapes, I just draw, I click, I move it in the direction I want to go, and I click again. Great, it generates everything, right? I can click on, and it even generates the railings, right, which is amazing. I can click on the railing and I can delete it because it's actually a separate piece from the stair, okay? Now I'm going to close my main level and just kind of look over here. There we go. Okay, so this is one set of stairs, and it's straight, and that makes it really easy, okay? When I'm drawing stairs that have a landing, I'm going to click on stair again, and I'm just kind of showing you how this works. I'm going to go to main level to top of wall again. I can click or run, click. And then I can click over here, and then I can come over here, And it seems really great because, you know, as I turn the corner, automatically those landings formed. It's great, right? Okay. Let me do this again. So I click on stairs. I click on my run again. I move in the direction I want to go, click. If I go that way, it doesn't quite work. Or if I get too close, I mean, it's my fault, of course, but if I get too close, it doesn't quite work, right? If I'm down here, oop, doesn't quite work. When I'm drawing things like this out in space, it's really easy because I have a lot of space out there to move around and to kind of line things up and make it work, right? When I'm sort of drawing stairs in the confinement of a building, it makes it just a little bit harder to get some of these landing and the other functions to work the way I want them to, I guess, right? So it is nice that I get these already defined, you know, sort of runs. That's great. It's nice that this landing generates by itself, right? That's really wonderful. And in maybe a very simplistic stair, like where we have a single run here, that might be okay, right? But in general, even I'm finding having a stair that's just a simple switchback is complicated, I feel like, in Revit's world, right? And it's a little bit harder to somewhat tune it towards the custom type areas that you end up having in a building, right? So if this stair, if I needed to modify it, I click on it. Oop, click. Oh, I'm already in modify, sorry. If I wanted to change the width of it, right? Here I would have to come over here. Oh, no, where did the width? Let's do 5 foot. And it kind of changes that. But then I have to come over here and I have to change that width. Okay. And then it's not quite working anymore, so I have to somewhat move it over a little bit till it does work. I guess it's not too bad yet, right? But let's say that, okay, I don't quite like this. Maybe I want to change the spacing of the depth here, right? So I change it to 1 foot. Okay, well okay, it worked pretty well. I'm blowing this because it's actually functioning very easily, right? Let me give you a confined space in a building. Tonight's just not my night, right? It's just being too easy. Okay, Kevin was right. No, just kidding. But again, it seems really easy right here, but you don't get as much control. And I like to be able to fine tune everything and be like pretty controlling over my stair system. Okay. But this is one way of creating stairs, right? It's called by component. Now, what's nice about this is that it creates a cut line, right? So my building, right, it was set to have a cut line at 4 foot. So at the 4 foot mark, as these stairs travel up, this is 4 feet. It shows a cut mark and it shows the stairs above that point dashed, which is great, right? You'll see those same graphics in every set of stairs. What's also really nice about this is if it generates the wrong way, I can click on it and this little arrow click will flip the way that it moves. So this is up. Now when I flip it, this is up, right? And this is down. Okay. So if I actually accidentally form it the wrong direction, then I can change it. Okay. So click. I don't think it shows up in 3D view, right? The railings are a separate piece from the stair. So you'll see that when I generate a set of stairs, a railing is automatically generated, but they're different pieces, right? So if I select my handrail here, I drop down, I change it to like a glass panel. It changes. Okay, so I go into 3D mode and there's my wonderful glass handrails, right? It's deceiving. Handrails are deceiving, that's all I'm going to say. They seem like they're magical. They're not.
Looks pretty magical.
Yeah. Well, that's to be debated again. I actually think this might be one thing where, yeah, we've had this discussion a lot at home about railings.
I created for the final with Jeff, dynamic block for stairs.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's still limited.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I have like various tread depths and risers and all that, and then you just drag it up.
Nice.
But it's still limited. It's not like this.
Yeah, and that's after how much programming have you had to do?
Well, I spent probably like 2 hours making that one block, so.
Right, yeah. And it works?
Well, it works, but like it's not flexible as this.
Yeah, yeah. Don't tell Jeff that.
He wasn't impressed. He was like, it's good. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm done with you.
It's funny. Okay. So railings are a separate piece, right? And I haven't gone into a lot with stairs yet. We'll probably get more into it next time. I think we'll split our time with it next time. But I wanted to show you the capability of it first, right? So we have the run of stairs. We have treads and risers. We have the landing, right? We have another run. We have the railing, okay? And again, these are component stairs, okay? The second way that we can generate stairs in Revit is using what's called the sketch mode, okay? And it's within the same command as the component stair. I click on stair, okay? And instead of choosing one of these predefined stairs, I choose the sketch right here. So I click on create sketch, okay? And what I guess I feel like I like most about it is that I can generate a boundary, right? So whatever it may be. And I can then also generate, these are gonna be terrible stairs, but an inner boundary, whatever it may be. Not like that. Okay. And then I can draw the risers, and I can sort of space the risers however I want them to be. Okay. So I'm drawing lines for risers. And then I can copy these, and I can make them custom within the sketch. This looks terrible. I'm not proving my point about the other ones being better, or about this one being better.
It seems a lot harder. These are AutoCAD stairs.
These are, well, no, not quite that bad.
I don't know, those don't look too evenly spaced.
But the thing about it is that you rarely get just a single run of stairs. I mean, that's very rare in a project, right? And usually the stairs are somewhat limited by the architecture around them. And so the problem with this is that you're kind of creating these sort of clunky, unmanageable pieces that you then have to fit into this opening that is custom in the first place. And so you somewhat have to go back to this idea of a sketch to get them to work, funny enough. I'm totally about automation. I mean, if I could do it, great. But I end up having so many problems with the other stairs working, right, that I ended up just going back to this method. Okay. I have 0 remaining. Perfect. So I've created my custom stair. I hit finish. Oh, I forgot one thing. I forgot my stair path. So now I just need to create my stair path. There we go. And hit finish. Here we go, 3D. And there is my second set of wonderful stairs. I'm going to finish that. Oop, come on. There we go. Custom as you want it, right? Now when I'm ready to, if I needed to alter these, right, like the opening for the stairs changes, I can click on them. It pops me back into my sketch mode, click again, and I can alter them as needs be, right? So I can get a very easy way to manipulate. They're very easy to manipulate. Hit finish, right? Finish again, and it's easy to manipulate. Okay. So those are our two types of stairs. We have the component stair, and then we have the sketch stair. Okay. Let's look at our stair type just a little bit, right? Again, I don't think we're going to get through stairs totally today, but let's look at our stair type. Let me just do this before I do that. This is pretty magical when we go to the section of our stairs here, right? I can cut through my stairs, click. It is nice that you can sort of see all the different components of the stairs, right, in 3D view. This railing, again, this is not a bad day. It's a good day in Revit, actually. But it's not showing any of the errors that you normally get with a regular set of stairs, funny enough. Like the hand railing going up, and it's very nicely coming over horizontal and then proceeding up, right? Anyway. Okay. So let's look at the stair types, okay? if I click on this stair and I look over here, my stair properties, I have an assembled stair, and it's a 7-inch maximum riser and 11-inch tread. Okay, if I hit edit type, there are a lot of different settings and stairs that I can change. So I can change the maximum riser height, the tread depth, right? And these are per type. So if I change this instance of it, if I don't create a copy, then it will change every instance of this named stair type. I input this information. I have calculation rules. The calculation rules, they're automatic, so I can't really alter these very much, right? But they are generated based on the information I input in the stair. I can change the type of tread, the nosing, what kind of landing it has, what kind of support it has, right? Is there a stringer? Oh, look, and it even gives me a nice little graphic. I don't think I've noticed that before, right there. Do I want an open, do I want the stringers closed? Do I want them on either side, or do I not want any, right? So I can change this from closed to open to none, right? We'll do none. I can choose the left side support. That's the right support. I can choose my left support. We'll do none again. Do I want a middle support? Sure, we'll do a middle support. How many middle supports? 1. What kind of cut mark do I want, right? So now I'm getting past kind of the construction of the stairs, and I'm moving into the graphics, right? So I click on single zigzag. If I click there, I have a few more types of settings that I can change. Do I want it to be a single line? Do I want it to be a double line? Right? A lot of different settings you can change. Now when I hit OK, OK again, do you see how all those stair types just changed? Right? And all of my stringers on the sides went away. Right? I probably have a support down the center, hopefully, right? But those changes were made universally, right? Which is pretty nice. If I wanted to, I could also like change so I have my tread and I have my nosing on the tread, and then I have my riser, right? So I can click on the stair type and I can hit edit, and let's see, run type, 2-inch tread with 1-inch nosing. You can change the tread material, the riser material. I'm going to take the riser material. I think you can change it to none, actually. Where's my riser? No riser. Uncheck that. My tread, the thickness is going to be 2 inches. Let's make that 1/2 inch. You can change the way the profile of the stair looks. Okay. So I just got rid of my riser there, right? The nosing is going to be this little piece here, and it looks kind of wedge-ish shaped, I guess, right? But that's what it's going to look like, essentially. And that is the stair type. Okay. Now, stairs. So, and I can't remember for the life of me if it was different in earlier versions of Revit. I think it was, which is what's maybe made it so hard for me to get used to in 2018. But I don't get my stairs updating like I used to, I feel like. And I can't really verify it, obviously. But when I click on a set of stairs, if I don't necessarily like how they're constructed, meaning they're 7 inches tall and 11 inches in depth, right? If I wanted to change this from, 7 inches, I'm going to hit edit type. Let's maybe make it 10 inches, 10 feet. Right? I very clearly changed that height, right? And nothing happened, right? So this stair that is defined by that type, it wasn't updated. And I'm pretty sure in earlier versions that once you changed it, just like any other assembly in Revit, it automatically updated, right? The only way that I found to have these updated is to redraw them, essentially. So the next time that I drew a stair with this type, it would update it to have that 10-inch high tread or riser height, essentially. So that is one thing. It's kind of a downfall, right? That you don't automatically get that update with that, right? Stairs are also, let me click on this stair, right? So I can redefine it, but I have to redraw it likely. Stairs are also defined by a top and bottom constraint, okay? So they assume that we have a top constraint that we want to have, at least with the at least with the component stairs, that we want to sort of have equal stairs on one side as the other, and that we have a tread in the middle somewhere, right? But I have a base level and I have a top level, right? So in this case, these stairs are defined to go from the main level, up to the top of wall, right? Let me draw a set of stairs in the basement. So your set of basement stairs that we're going to need to draw. Okay, I'm actually going to go down to the basement, click, click, and I'm going to draw the stairs going up through this little opening right here. Okay, 4'4", there we go. So I'm starting on my basement level. I'm clicking on my stair tool. I'm just going to do a straight run. We'll give in right now and just do a straight component stair. Okay, and I want my base level of my stair to be the basement, and I want the top level to be the main level. Okay, we're going to leave this alone. This is automatically calculated, right? So now that I have changed my assembled stair from a 7 to a 10-inch riser, do you see now that it says the actual riser height is 9 inches and 205 over 256? Because it's updated to know that I can go up to 10 inches, right? Let's see if I edit type before I change these. Let's take it back down to 7 inches. Okay, it will alter before you draw them, but after you draw them, you have to delete them and redraw them.
Yeah, mine is not changing.
Yeah. I just don't, I mean, Revit is so automated, I don't get why and it used to. I very clearly remember it used to. So there's something, anyway. But this is going to go from the basement up to the main level. So it says the desired stair height is 9 foot. With all of these constraints, you'll have 16 risers. The tread depth will be 11 inches. Okay. So now I just start drawing. So I'm gonna start here, click, move in the direction I want to go, and it tells me I have 13, 12, 11, 10, right? As I move forward, it tells me how many risers I have. Click, and there's my stair. I hit finish, and there's my stair. So it's going up. Let's take a look at it in 3D. I'm going to turn on my section region. There you go. Stairs are in the living room, right? There we go. Oh, let's take the roof off here. Here we go. So some lovely stairs, right? They're maybe not in the right spot. I should move them over. A death trap. They have railings.
Yeah.
There's a railing. Oh, my kids would love that, especially my little one. She would just, you know, want to tie a rope and shimmy on down there. You know. You of all people know.
No, that's why I bought the one-level house. Get them stairs.
Well, that's no fun, right?
Kidding? I can already see the hospital bills.
It's another source of contention at our house. The stairs. Open stairs, open tread stairs with a 2.5-year-old that span 3 levels. Like, it is a death trap. It's very literally a death trap.
Can you grab it and just drag it over like you usually do?
Uh-huh. Yep. So I've created my stairs, right? I can grab these. I make sure that I grab my railings with them. Oh, hopefully. There we go. MV, move. I just saw a little pin. I'm hoping it'll move nicely. Nope. Maybe. And I'm going to grab it and just kind of move it over there. Oh, the stairs are pinned to the railings are pinned to the stair. Now, if I had accidentally drawn them the wrong way, I could click on them, and I can click this little arrow and flip how they're oriented, right? So they go the other direction.
That definitely seems worse.
You don't like that? Okay. Oh, now I can't find my... There it is. It's hidden sometimes. Okay, shade, SD, and there are my stairs in place. Right?
Which arrows did you flip?
So if you're in a floor plan view and you click on the stair, that little arrow right there will change the direction of it. You're still in editing mode, so you can't switch it. You have to hit finish, and then once you've finished it, you can look at it and decide where it needs to go. Yep. Okay. Now again, I can edit these to a certain extent, but if I need to change the height or the width, even I'm not even positive the width. This width right here is. It wouldn't change it either. You tried that? Okay. Yeah, because I want to change that to like a 5 foot, and it's not updating. Anyway, so in that case, I would click. I would double. See now all of the component problems are coming out, right? I can drag it out, make it width right there. Hit finish, and there we go.
Did you do a reminder for I had cut a hole
In the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I hadn't, and let me just say it, sorry, let me just get rid of these railings. We'll go over railings a little bit more on Wednesday as well. I'm sort of running out of voice tonight, so we'll be stopping soon. But let me talk about doing the floor again. So close your eyes, Dawn. Let me undo the magic. If I had not cut a hole in my floor, right, and I needed to, obviously, because I have stairs coming up through there, I'm going to go to my main level, click, and I'm going to select my floor. And I'm going to hover over near a door or a boundary to do that, right? I'm going to tab until I find that wood floor at the bottom left, click. I'm going to hit edit boundary. And then where the stairs are, I'm going to draw an area. And again, I'm over exaggerating it, but I'm going to draw an area and I'm going to come up here to split. Click, split, SL, click, split that line and trim these, TR. And just create an opening right there. I can align it, AL, click, AL, click, hit finish, and it leaves an opening there. Look how nice that looks. Nice little window.
So one question about the opening.
Don't ask about the railings.
You know how we need to calculate what is the minimum height of the opening and
Yeah.
which step it is? So is there a way to automatically do that?
There's not a way to automatically do that. Nope, so that is still analog. We'll call it analog, right? So MERS is looking at this saying, that's great and all, but do I have my head height clearance, right? And no, the answer is no. So essentially what you're going to end up doing is drawing a detail line and offsetting it, which it's just like an AutoCAD, essentially. Yeah. Okay, any questions? We'll go over these one more time. Next time we'll talk about railings, and then we'll get into storefront. And I will for sure assign your midterm on Wednesday. I've got it all sorted out. It's good. It's good.
How long will we have to do it?
I like to call it the late term project because we're going to start it for our midterm, and then you'll finish it. We'll have a check-in that will serve as kind of a end to the midterm, and you'll continue on with it for your final. So we'll really be working on it from now until the end of the semester. Yeah. Okay. So I am not going to assign a stairs assignment yet. I'll do that next time. And I'll give you the midterm assignment, I'll give you the stair assignment, and then we'll just kind of carry that through spring break. And that is all for tonight.